game one. Here in game two, they make it happen in the exact type of fashion we love to see them do it, really.
Yeah, it's a typical queasy victory royale, really, isn't it? Trying to dominate that high ground, understanding the zones where they could pull, of course, and ended up pulling over that hill. So they had to put themselves in a fine position. And when you're up on height in this position, it's so straightforward to make sure that teams don't try and contest, because everyone else down below is just trying to traverse up that hill and make their way up, whereas you can just sort of look down and ensure that nobody else can make their way through. So a really straightforward performance, but another one from these guys that we would expect, because this is exactly what they're going to be doing in all of the games.
And the way Swizzy played this game, again, just from the start, starting off with that huge sort of 2v1 in box, to just being an absolute menace to everyone in this lobby. So many times we watched him in this end game, and he was just putting in damage, just straight damage. And, you know, I know the casters were trying to hype up there the potential for Yapko to make something happen. Nah, man, it wasn't happening, bro. Queasy was ready, max HP, always the assurance there. A very, very strong start from these boys.
I mean, historically, all of these players, even with different teammates, were high ground kings, and now they've come together to conquer. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be chatting about the rest of Game 2.
Chiamando e ora però non parlo.
Welcome back to the FNCS Europe Major 3 finals. We're 2 games in, and what games they have been. Let's talk about our endgame situation. Just to recap, Swizzy, Queasy, Moustache took game number 2 in style, and they took it from the grasp of Seti, Yapko, and Panzer, a trio that we didn't get to see much of in the group stage because they did qualify via a victory royale, but they're really showing us what they can do now, Levin.
I mean, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. They are rising to the occasion. you know, when we have these major threes every year and there's the teams who we know need to qualify, a lot of the times, a lot of those teams sort of just come through, they skate through, they'll pick up an 8th or a 9th place, and that's enough to get them to globals. Jobs are good, and right, Minnie? These guys are not playing that way right now. They're playing like a team who has intentions to win the FNCS. It's all good. We know we can make it to globals. I'm Seti, I'm Panzer, I'm Yapko, 3 players who are globals quality players, absolutely. But we want to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and if you set your sights for that, I mean, you can only go one way, right? Things can only go well. And I think this is a team that does belong at this stage of the, or this point of the leaderboard as well. I think this is a team that we know how good they can be. We know the experience that all of them have. Panzer in particular on the come up as well this year as well. I think this is a position that he should find himself in first place here. I'm really liking the way they're playing as well. Low ground consistency, finding eliminations is whether they can keep it up now.
But Minnie, it's crazy. You think about Yapko, he was doing all right on NA Central until last season, and now he's come back and he's starting to look dominant in Europe again.
Yeah,
I think this on their scorecard for this year.
I think this is a boost of confidence from him, really, going over to NA, performing well, doing that sort of, I think he came sort of like 5th and 8th on NA, maybe a little bit higher as well. He's just doing very well over there, giving themselves that confidence back, which I think some veteran players might lose that as they get older and sort of more well-known in the scene and more experienced. So it's nice for him to be up on top.
Well, let's talk about the amazing performance as well of Sato, Karma and Svix so far. They had 11 eliminations in their first game. Another strong performance from them here as well, Evan.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Sato might have heard us all, you know, waxing lyrical about Akira's trio, talking about their chance of making it to globals, and he's going, hold on a minute, guys. I've been to a global championship. You're forgetting me when you're talking about the best French players, and, you know, he's been putting on a show for us so far in these first couple games. You know, don't sleep on these guys. Do not sleep on these guys. There's always going to be a team in these majors, I think, that comes through and surprises people with their performances. And I think so far this team is that one. With that being said, Akira's trio did have a really good game and outpaced them, right? But it might be hard to outfrag these guys of how these guys are playing right now. Sato is really popping off, Minnie.
Yeah, if you're rooting for the French teams, you'll be really happy with how this has started. A couple of French teams popping off. I mean, these guys in particular having a really good start. I think it just comes down to now their off-spawn situation. How's that going to go? Contestations, team moving in. Are they going to be able to keep up that consistency? That's going to have to be questions they're going to have to answer for the rest of it.
Well, Akira, Karama and Werex as well, they were appearing in the endgame. It was kind of a blink and you miss it moment, but they were there and they were challenging the top, Minnie.
Yeah, better performance than these guys. We didn't see it in game number 1. We didn't see what we know that these guys can do. It was a 14th with 2 eliminations. That last game, a 3rd with 11 eliminations. So a massive comeback for these guys. And I think that's going to give them a little bit of confidence now. Getting off to a good start in major finals is so important. They didn't have that 11, but they've come back and they have the chops to make it all the way.
Massive, big game. Could have been better as well. I know Akira went down there to 4 damage at the end. It was a tough closing out, but I'm optimistic about these guys ramping up the momentum a bit.
Well, we're going to ramp up the momentum. We've got 4 games left in tonight's lobby. There is everything to play for right now. It's too early to call, but we know now our trios are feeling warmed up. We're starting to see some contenders rise, but everything can change in just a game. So let's head into game number 3.
Look, Frankie, you're speaking about contenders. The top 3 right now, all trios have yet to qualify to the Global Championship. We were looking at predictions. The top 5 had all already qualified, but now our top 3 on the leaderboard have yet to get a spot in the Global Championship, and it is looking strong. 3rd place, you mentioned it. Sato and his trio, one of the French trios looking to represent their country in France. Hopefully at the Global Championship. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves though, Taco, because we're still just going to be getting into game 3 here shortly, and there's 12 full matches to be played out. So let's get right into the next match.
Look, the leaderboard might not be panning out the way that a lot of folks would have expected for the starting point, but it is still day 1, and it's very clear that 1 or 2 solid pop-off performances could leave you in a much better position to try and play through, settle up some of those issues if you've been having them from day 1 matches, and figure it out for day 2.
I'm all about it though. I love the rivalry. We've got a sick off spawn at Demon's Domain. Absolute cinema leaderboard with Seti and Cammy in first and second place going head to head back and forth, and we're just kicking things off. So let's see if we get a third contestation down at Demons. It's currently 2-0 for Queasy and his trio, and it looks like we are gonna get it.
If this is another wash from Alabuca's team, you're gonna have to seriously start considering, do we just drop it? But Queasy, he finds the first one onto Wax, Ping, hoping that he can just barely manage to survive, but Swizzy, hot on his heels, looking to chase them all out. Malabuca, he is the only one left standing. One of the fastest off-spawn disputes that we have seen today. And Mustache, Swizzy, Queasy, they're all just hunting down. Where is he?
Ciao Lucas, no. Fabiola è il mio amico Manuel. Ciao Lucas. Quando finiscono FNCS? Poco prima dell'evento finiscono, quindi per tipo 2 ore e mezza. Siamo al terzo game. Su 6. Io ero cavato perché fare come l'evento. Ma che cosa? Raga, però non scrivete cose strane. Cioè, cosa sono tutte cose? Allora.
With success at Demon's Domain. This is definitely looking like Queasy's domain right now, though.
That it is. Still a long ways ahead of us, though, Taco. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but the confidence is definitely in the hands of Queasy and his trio. Ari, Cammy, eye drop. Kind of seeing this back and forth at Shining Span now throughout all these matches, but it's been working out for Cammy. Despite them losing that first place spot, they're still in the top end of that leaderboard, so all they gotta do is keep it up.
I think one of my favorite parts, though, about watching Cammy kind of play through a competitive environment is knowing that he's going to be one of the few teams that is almost always guaranteed to try and challenge the notorious Queasy for height. We've even seen lobby number 1, that was fully on Cammy. Lobby number 2, Queasy responds back. And now here, lobby 3, first it builds with this dispute here on Shining Span. Good early knock, early elimination from Cammy's team onto Belusi. Definitely gonna pose some issues there.
What's interesting about Karma, Sato, and Splik is, I hate bringing it up again and again, but that computer prediction we did put this trio at less than a 1% chance of winning the tournament, and now they're in 3rd place, looking stronger than ever, trying to not only claim that spot at the Global Championship, but potentially just win the whole major here. As we look at Pink, Hero, and Nebs once again, Coach Harry was talking about it. This is a trio that has experience. They've been in Fortnite competitive for a while now, and what Coach Harry was saying is they kind of make sure they keep up the consistency in terms of, you know, the roots of Fortnite competitive, not just the specific meta that changes every single season, but the general roots of how to keep the chemistry up, how to do rotates depending on the zones, how to play these early, mid, end games. So hopefully we can see that consistency shine here throughout the 12-day format. And it looks like we might get a sneaky play here from Sato. Frennick has been cracked already. Huge opportunity to strike right now.
Frennick already a little bit frazzled, a little bit distracted. Doesn't even recognize the fact that Sato's ramping directly overhead of him. And Sato just drops down like a hawk from above, but he doesn't find that initial knock. He's still looking to chase it out, though. Frennick just dashing down this mountainside. Sato can't connect to the final shot, and Gitta's now able to provide a little bit of supportive measures here, and that'll be a full-on disengage. Just a miss swing from Sato. Got some good damage at least for the surge, but could have been so much more.
Should have been at least an elimination, in my opinion, but kind of missed the wall edit there after getting the initial shot. It's all good though, bit of damage. Demon Storm picks continuing with their fight, but kind of taking it out of Utopia City as Howley Kha'Zix and Don there kind of on the run here. How many mats do they have, though? I mean, it's still so early in the match. They can't be that healthy on material.
Both of these teams have just been consistently holding each other here at Utopia City. Largely, it's been Big Storm and Demas getting the upper hand overall, but Hallie, Denfuzo, Kha'Zix has realized that we're just not healthy enough. We just don't have enough material. Fall back, create a little bit of a gap between themselves and Big Storm and Demas, but those three are looking to just run them down. Why not key it? They trust in their fragging abilities. And that's something that Rex is going to have to find. Shutting down iDrop this early on here at Shining Span. This is disastrous. Poor Cammy. Or at least it could have been if he wasn't able to fly overhead and find a quick little cleanup for himself. Big plays coming out of Cammy. He's definitely got some strong leads for Lobby 3. That's a lot of momentum early on.
Yeah, looking pretty one-sided at the Shining Span so far. Look at this eventful replay. Reason on the space.
It's always good to get an idea, though, of what's been brewing there for Savage, Reason, and Chap. So many fans are just looking for that team to have a Cinderella story type run. Big Storm and Demas, though, they're ultimately able to finish what they'd started. 3 eliminations now to open things up. And the primary issue has definitely been this off-on battle just drawing out for way too long, but they're actually able to settle things up pretty quickly in this lobby, Takata. We might see them look for a better conversion of mid to end game.
Yeah, I like the looks of this. Start is looking a lot stronger. The Demas Storm picks are able to quickly finish that fight and not get staggered too long. Now, the thing is, they probably almost even forgot how their route looks after getting those quick eliminations, since it's been taking so long in the start of this tournament. Mahawa, Kaiser's sneaking up, trying to see if they can find an opening here. Not on Riddick again. Not in the same match back to back.
Sometimes it's just tough to catch a break here, but for Hawa, Kaiser's, Maciak, they haven't found the true opening just yet, but it's close. Very near future. Frenetic gonna take a little bit of time to heal. But even with those footsteps sounding overhead, for Hala, Maciak, Kaisers, they've already invested enough time here, Takata. They're willing to just fully commit. They know that this is an isolated player. There's no one coming to save them. They just gotta wait for him to actually roll into them, essentially.
Having a different trio do it too. They just heard him get cracked as well. Trexer in a similar position. Good news is nobody's sneaking up on him so far. Shots from afar is all that's happening. Wow.
Nice little boom battle there for Trexer. Kaiser, Brawlhalla, Maciak. Frenetic was exposed, but it hasn't actually translated into an elimination. Frenetic and Giddus will fall back one more time. Now, Demas will be the last piece of the puzzle here, and that's going to be enough to fully... It's just an ultimate fizzle out here, Takata. I really thought that we were going to see maybe for Hala's team look to try and tackle the overhead, but it's just too strong of a position that Frenetic and Giddus are holding onto right now.
Yeah, what I like about what Gyros and Dinosaur's doing is they are on the elevated area, kind of the mountains surrounding the canyon, so even if Frenetic kind of got shot and cracked, they were still able to have the better position to kind of cover him when he was able to build back up. Good job kind of preparing for those moments.
Just waiting for the revive to finish here for X-Force and CZB. Nathan off over yonder. Just do what he can to collect whatever materials, excess loot the team might need. He trusts that CZB and X-Force have the surge locked down, but he might need to actually give them a helping hand. They are not having a great time with their bloom battles, and sometimes that's just the way it goes.
Is the way it goes. Merstash on the feed go down. I'm wondering what happened there. But yeah, Cosetti, Panzer, not too much happening in sight. They're already kind of finished with their earlier game surge base. So now, depending on where zone pulls, they'll kind of figure out how they move forwards here.
Okay, Chap and Savage still hanging out at their starting drop point of Resistance base, and they're looking pretty healthy. They're looking like they were able to get off to the start that they wanted. But Reason, he scouted Thimu, looking to try and play for the reboot ban. It's only a matter of time before he calls Chap and Savage over. That might be a primo chance to acquire even more surge, even more points off the eliminations.
Julie goes to Hyper, close to where Panzer and Spirit was by Lone Wolf, but there's actually another full engagement going on. So we'll look at Pahara. Gotta be careful down in the snowy section of the map. Quick elimination gonna come through off the split. One of the top trios potentially going down here, unless Sato is able to make magic happen. Two quick knocks, turning this fight around. Pahara now getting a bit nervous, but they have to be careful. A full other trio crouching in.
Sato has absolutely no idea, just to expose, and Loki immediately punishes him for it with Sanghild by his side, now looking to just fully close in onto the remains of this starting point battle. Karma underneath, thought he could slip by unnoticed, but Loki actually gonna be 180 turned upon here. QB Sanghild now have to settle the score here. And fortunately enough for Loki, his teammates were more than healthy enough to take up that battle, but definitely thwarts their plan. Definitely going to cause them to slow down a little bit here, but it also definitely puts them in a really nice spot loot-wise, Takada.
Yeah, what an unfortunate way for Sato and his trio to go down, though, just having turned around that fight. Getting 3-2-1. There's only so much you can do at that point. Reason, Chap, and Mr. Savage are going to pick up Robin and his trio, though. And needed 3 eliminations, as they've been struggling a little bit in the first 2 matches. Able to make it into the end game of the first one. Second one didn't quite go their way, but now little more faith going forwards for the 3rd match.
With the amount of teams that we've seen playing some of these fights in the middle of Storm, Takada, Storm Sickness is a real kind of hovering threat for some of these teams. For right now, though, Ivan, Ifrozi, they're hoping that they can maybe see if their trio is powerful enough to overtake Astrals. And they've got them on the ropes here, Takada, but you need to just close things out. You want to find the eliminations and get a move on before the edge of zone has a real chance to fully focus in to where you're trying to rotate through anyway. They can't overstay, and they need this fight desperately. Astral and Inflexus just are not healthy enough to do anything else if they can't find a clear refresh.
It's a perfect opportunity for Cammy. Kind of sit on the side of zone, though, and shoot back at them as they attempt to rotate in and finish up their battle here. I mean, the way the meta's kind of playing out puts a lot of these trios in desperate need of damage. We saw in game 1, Sato had 10 eliminations and still were under the surge threshold. So you can never stop looking for tags, never stop looking for damage. And if you had an unlucky start of the game where you couldn't follow your surge path, you're put into even more pressure to make something happen before that end game begins. Take Neb's Kiro. I'm looking forward to seeing a big game from this trio. Hopefully this time they're able to make it into zone with the loot they have and make something happen.
Problem is they're kind of just being sidelined right now by Big Storm and Demas. Kiro, young Fragger though, kind of opens up with a big knock onto Pix. Utopia is probably going to continue to be an issue for Pink Nebs and Kiro to rotate through, though, knowing that they've got Torm and Demas essentially kind of maybe trailing them. But at the same time, teams like Merstash, Queasy, Swizzy, no interruption so far on their dead side rotate. Takada, it just comes down exclusively to how much surge are they able to acquire, but because of that all-spawn battle at Demon's Domain, it's likely to have them set up to just continue fixating on positioning.
quite center map zone pull. Not only for the island, but just the zone in general. As we can see, a significant amount of trios still in the storm, far away in one of those trios. Squeezy, Swizzy, Mustache, they've done enough damage to play it a bit safer here. As how has this fight not ended? Another one struck out by Perhala after they picked up the quick eliminations onto Sato. Now they're kind of forced into getting stuck in the snow. Oh, shot didn't hit.
Both of these teams, though, under that surge damage threshold, and they have so much ground to cover to even make it into the next edge of zone. This fight might just ultimately be the thorn in the side for both of these teams, no matter who comes out on top here, Takata. But it's always a matter of pride involved in these types of exchanges. For Hala, Macy at Kaisers, we're looking to settle the score right now with Sangil just immediately trying to tackle inside of his box, but Loki from a separate angle entirely. Now back to Perhala, trying to see if he can overtake height, but across the way, Mistform directly towards QB. He knows that they're hurt, he knows that they're injured, and he knows that he's got Sangil to maybe back him up, but QB, a little bit too ambitious. And that's gonna be enough here for Sangil and Loki. They're trying to see if they can sit back, but Perhala, Macy at Kaisers, they know that this is entirely in their favor now. Up until Kaisers takes too much damage, and Sangil looking to even the score here, but Perhala on the other end of things finds that last elimination onto Loki. Sangil now trying to see how long can he delay Perhala and Maciak. Both of these teams have got to get a move on the Takata.
That's the issue. I mean, normally when you have the height, you kind of have the choice to just disengage and run away, but when you're so far low below the surge threshold, you kind of have to continue the fight despite being so far away from zone and not even knowing if you have a chance to make it back. And with the amount of HP that Perhala and his teammate have, I mean, even if they end up getting these eliminations, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it back. Sangil doing what he can to hold his ground. 98 shot gonna come through. The knock on to Perhala, turning it into a 1 versus 1. Another shot connecting as Sangil is looking to close this one out.
Sangil just refuses to fall here, and Maciak, what should have been an easy, tidied up exchange has now been completely turned on its head. Perhala's trio has actually fallen. Whether or not Sangil is able to prevail from this point on, Takata, the one thing that is very clear is that if you're gonna step up, you better step correct, because teams are locked in right now. Players are teed up for this grand finals.
I love what I'm seeing here from Reason, Savage, and Chap. They got a very good zone pull. Now they're able to conserve a good amount of mats, but it's all about just opening up angles on the players rotating in. But what happened to Cammy and iDrop? Harry's been left alone, just 70 above. It's Demus Darn picks right in front of him. Mistform's gonna come into play, but they're gonna know you're a solo if you get seen here. A full trio to your right, there's only so many options you have.
Just drop all hard material possible and face up. Hardy might be able to try and catch a player off guard. At the very least, he can look to just push back, but it appears as though he's drawn a little bit too much attention. Team's kind of recognizing this is a solo operation. This is not a fully healthy team by any means. And Hardy praying that somebody else is there to distract Kurama, Werix, and Akira. But we'll have to sit tight and just wait for his opportunities. It's hard to be proactive when you're a solo in a lobby full of so many trios and even duos.
Yeah, ideally as a solo you want to conserve materials, but you need to kind of overbuild to not put that focus onto you. Yep, so Seti and Panzer trying to apply pressure onto Akira on his trio. 277 below, now they're going to be forced into a bit of panic here as they have to look at multiple directions. The issue is a lot of the trios are already boxed up. They either go for a triple spray onto a wall or look for that late trio rotating in, but 300 is a big number, Taco. They got to connect a lot of shots.
Beggars can't be choosers. They just got to get into somebody's box, and they need to do it expeditiously. They might have found their targets. It's Kurama, Werix, directly underneath them. Panzer trying to see if he can find some sort of angle, a little bit of leverage here to kickstart this battle. But Kurama holding fast. Hands are finally gonna drop, but it's just too much desperation. They're putting themselves in two operative positions. They're getting reckless with their peaks. They are 96 above, and it's still climbing, but losing SETI. Juice might not have been worth the squeeze after all. They're gonna try and see if they can make a play. Throwing SETI's blocks back, but even with the double revive in motion, it's still going to be very difficult for these guys to move forward. They've got to get more damage.
The zone pull to them, though. They got the perfect zone pull. They're now 70 above. All the opponents have to rotate towards them. They just have to take shots onto them. Harry, somehow, it's still up, but with 304 below the threshold, Surge now ticking with just a couple minis left. 5 bandages. You got to hope either we go below the amount of players that have to be up here, or Harry finds a miracle, but the zone pulls in his favor. It's just the timing. It's not looking good.
Unfortunately, sometimes you just have to depend on the lobby to kind of turn in your favor. But bodies are not dropping like flies right now, not at the speed that Hardy needs them to. That's really what he's trying to buy time for, is hoping that the surge threshold is just turned off. But that might not be afforded to him. Just gonna play out what's left of his bandages here, Takada. But I fear we are witnessing the demise of Cammy's last standing member.
Look above. Looks like we have a face-off, a head-to-head, potentially. Queasy on the west side, Vanya and his trio on the east side. Depending on where this first moving zone pulls, it could give one of these trios a massive advantage for that high ground, as Hari now, with only 1 bandage left, has a bit of time till Surge starts picking again. It's 5 seconds on the clock until he has to make a move.
Love that Hari is just thieving some Madness Grenade from the other team surrounding him. Veno, Flixie, Vico though, they've got the Surge figured out this match. 259 above, but still looking to keep that number ticking upwards in their favor. Queasy, Merstache, Swizzy, big tag onto Queasy. A little bit unlucky there, but right now they've settled the score. They've taken over the high ground.
I wouldn't say unlucky. They got that first zone pull. Now all they got to do is hold on to it, and if any trio's going to do it, it's them. As now their focus, apply pressure on trios that look like they might want to take it.